Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Candace, also known as Inks and Anchors on Instagram. I wanted to go through with you what I've been doing for my currently inked fountain pens and also how I keep track of inks, because I have quite an extensive collection, both bottles and samples, and it's the kind of thing that we crazy fountain pen people like to keep track of and itemize. So I wanted to show you what I've been doing. So at one point I purchased a plotter, and I had these pages in the plotter, and I thought maybe what I would do is I'd devote a section of my plotter to keeping track of my currently inked by writing the name of the ink and the pen that I've been using, and do a little swatch with watercolor. So I'd put the ink down and use a water brush, sorry, not watercolor, a water brush, so I could see the chromatography of the ink, just to kind of record and see how it would react with water. And so I started doing that, and I kept doing it pretty religiously, honestly, because it looked so pretty with all the different colors. I know that's kind of not really the reason. And also it was just nice to, after inking a pen, to just be able to write with it and see what the end result was in terms of the ink that I chose and the nib that I decided to use where I had a choice, and record the pen that I used. So I have to say that this is in addition to using the online tool Fountain Pen Companion, and I'll put a link to the website below. And that is a website that keeps track of all your inks that you have, whether it's a sample or a bottle. It shows the Pantone swatch color, as well as you can keep notes, any other characteristics of the ink that you might want to record. It's a great tool for fountain pen addicts. It will also keep track of your pens, and the information about your inks is made public to anyone else that you choose to. I think you can turn that off if you desire, and you just keep track of it for yourself. But it's also a handy way to refer to someone if you wanted to say, hey, you want to maybe do an ink sample swatch, an ink sample switch. Why don't you just go on Fountain Pen Companion? You can see the inks that I have, and then you can just let me know which ones you want to swap. And then, of course, the other useful thing for Fountain Pen Companion is it keeps track of your currently inked. So because once you've input all your pens into the website, which, by the way, the pen information remains private because that is very personal, and you can see how much someone's spending on their pens, and that's kind of private information. But you can yourself keep track of your currently inked. Once you've input your pen information, you can then record the ink that you've used and the nib and any other notes that you want to keep track of. And that's an online tool that I always use, and that's sort of my master list. Anything else that I've done to keep track of is mostly for my own enjoyment, because after all, this is an analog hobby, and it's just nice to keep track of things in an analog manner. So I started doing this, and as you can see, I kept it up pretty well. I had other ways in which I would also keep track of my currently inked, and I would also do that. I had a little bit of a spill there. I would also do that sometimes duplicating the efforts because I'm crazy. So as I said, I started this because I ended up getting a plotter, and I just kind of wanted to use the pages and see how the pages handle the ink, and they handle it very well, as you can see. I also wanted to show you another way that I was also keeping track, but this one fell by the wayside. It's been a journey trying to figure out what works best for me and what I end up putting in the effort to keep track of. So this is my Galen Leather Traveler's Notebook cover. If you know anything about me, I tend to sell everything that I'm not using. But this one in addition to it being personally engraved, is one that I've kept pretty steadily in my collection. I love the color of the leather, and it's the only sort of traveler's notebook cover that I have. I like the fact that the elastic is at the side and not in the center. I think the real traveler's notebooks, the brand name traveler's notebook, has their elastic in the center, which I don't like. So I had been keeping track fairly religiously in a traveler's notebook, currently ink, March 2021 to January 2024. So you'll see that's a pretty long time, and that was pretty religiously. So 3 years, 3+ years. And what I thought I started doing was every month, breaking it down by months. So when I started, I recorded the date that I inked up my pen, a little swatch there, the ink, the pen, the nib size, and then another swatch just for visually, I thought it was appealing. And then this is the day on which I cleaned the pen, and then I tried to keep track of the number of days that the pen was inked. So sometimes you'll see, for instance, I'll ink up a pen and I'll just think, nope, I don't like the way that this particular ink performs in the pen, and I would record that just for posterity and just to go back and see. And it's information that I would find interesting. Also, it also looks visually appealing, and you'll see that I, for the most part, I try to remember every month to start the month and record, but you'll see there are days that went by that I completely forgot to record when I cleaned a pen out, and I just couldn't be bothered to go back and try and figure it out. Sometimes I went back to estimate the when I cleaned out a pen, but you'll see this has been something that I've kept up, as I said, for 3 years, and it really is nice to look at. Now, one of the things that I think maybe I would have done differently is that I would have chosen a different notebook to start with. So this one is a Traveler's Company notebook, and the paper is not my favorite. So right there, I should have just did a first page and decided I didn't love the paper and maybe resort to using my favorite, which is Tomoe River 52 GSM paper. And you'll see that I just ended here and I just couldn't be bothered. After a while, I just really couldn't be bothered recording when I emptied a pen or cleaned a pen. So I'm amazed actually that I lasted 3 years using this method. So then after around January 2024, I decided to use this little journal, and the main reason is that it has onion skin paper in it, and I also happen to really love onion skin paper. And it first started that I just wanted to see how this particular onion skin paper performed, and so I did something like this where I just kind of recorded. This was the first time I tried this brand, so this is the it's called the Onion Skin. Here it is. The Onion Skin Journal. So I think that's the brand name. And I was trying the paper for the first time, and it's really high quality onion skin paper. I have other onion skin that does not perform as well as this. And part of the reason why I love onion skin is this. I just love the crinkle. It's just fun, right? So I did this, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to use this as my currently inked journal, the analog version. And so that's what I started doing. And there you have it. I decided to get rid of the date that I cleaned the pen out. I recorded a bit more information in terms of more uniformly. So I have the date that I inked the pen, the ink, the pen, and the nib that I use or that the pen comes with. And then I do a swatch using water, a water brush to see what the chromatography of the ink is. And so there you have my onion skin currently inked. Now, of course, because it's onion skin, so this started in January, because it's onion skin, you can only use one side of the page, which doesn't bother me whatsoever because I have so much paper and I purchased a few of these journals. So I just thought it would be fun, a fun way to use them. And now it's pretty, I love it. You do have to remember though, with onion skin, of course, you're like with any paper, fountain pen paper, inks will perform differently depending on the paper you use. And with onion skin, I think the colors do not show up as saturated as other types of paper. So just bear that in mind if you decide to use onion skin. But of course you can use this, you know, using any notebook. In fact, it doesn't have to be even traveler's notebook size or this is an A5 slim. You can use it with A5, A4, you know, B6, any size that you want, A6 even. I just found for me, this was actually a perfect size, and I've been really enjoying it. You know, as I said, I love the crinkle of the paper. And there you have it in terms of the latest ones that I've inked up. And so I can go back. One of the benefits of having it recorded this way is sometimes I will take a note, I will write a note in a notebook or my journal or what have you, or and I just happen to not record the ink color or the nib that I used with the ink. So mostly this is my work notes. I don't keep track of that in my work notebooks. And sometimes I'll go back and I'll say, oh, that looks really interesting. What was that color ink? And I can pretty much go back based on the date here and the date of my note and figure out what ink I used and what pen I was using. So, you know, that's one benefit of keeping it recorded in this way. And the one other thing I wanted to show you was the way I keep track of my ink swatches. So I had originally followed Ferocious and Pretty Pens. I'll link her YouTube channel below. And she has something called an ink cyclopedia, which is an A5 journal. And she had it split up by brand names. And with every brand, she would just swatch all the ink she got. So it was an A5 bound journal. And of course, you can imagine the issues with that is even if you started recording all that, which is what I did, at a time when your collection was fairly matured, there are always new inks and new ink companies that you're going to be purchasing inks from. And you know, it might be out of order, and because it's a bound notebook, you're kind of stuck, and you have to, even if you skipped a few pages, which is what I did, you'll find that, you know, you're sticking in Ware and Gould, for instance, came along, and maybe I didn't have any pages left in alphabetical order. So it became kind of a mishmash, and I was inserting, you know, like a second or third sailor page in a different spot because I ran out of blank pages that I had saved for all the sailor inks I was going to be purchasing or swatching. So anyway, I decided to pick up an A5 binder. And this one, you can get any A5 binder. Of course, there are pretty expensive ones that you can buy. I just decided, you know, I was at a point where this was just really for me. I didn't really want an expensive one. I just picked this up from Amazon.ca for, I think it was $30 Canadian. And it's supposedly real leather. I think that's what they said. It seems like real leather to me. And it came with these dividers, which for now what I did was I just put it in pencil. I don't know if you can see that, but so that's the by brand of ink. And so here you can see, this is where it all fell down, right? So what I did was I took my bound notebook and I ripped the pages out carefully and hole punched them and put them in here. So I wasn't going to start again. I'm not that crazy, and it would have taken me a long time. So here you can see I had started to use, I figured I didn't really have a lot of Leonardo inks, and I just kind of stuck it here on this first page. So now I'm kind of stuck with that, but it's fine. You know, I'm okay with that. So here you see all the different brands of ink that I have. And the way that Ferocious and Pretty Pens, Nusha, she said when she did this, she thought that it was great because she had the ink swatch on this side of the page. So if you wanted to compare, you could just go like that and compare different inks. So, for instance, this is Diamine Majestic Blue. Let's compare it with Colorverse Stars and Stripes, and you can just hold it up like that and see it. Of course, now that everything is in a A5 binder, I can take the pages out and compare them side by side if I wanted to do that. They are numbered, but I do foresee myself inserting pages throughout, so I don't know if I'm going to be keeping this as the numbering system. Then the other good thing about this is that you can, at the very back, I just have something called color swatches. So basically by color, and I've only done this one, but these are my teal green inks that I had at the time that I did this. I wanted to see them all in one page, and so I just did that. And that's for fun. I'll just, you know, put pages in as I decide to test colors side by side. So that's what I've been using for my ink swatches. And it's great because it's nice and handy. I used to use those color rings, swatch cards, and I just found them, I had them all hole punched in a ring, but I just never took them out again. And I didn't find that I had a filing system that allowed me to easily access the cards. But mostly the card stock that was used, I didn't like the paper. So I decided to use this, and the advantage is I can just take this to a pen meet if I wanted to look up a color or show others. It was just kind of a handy thing to have. I also forgot to show you one other thing that I've been using relating to my inks. This is what I call my ink journal, and it's a Musubi cloth covered journal with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and it was a gift from a couple of dear friends, and I have had it for now I think a couple of years, and I just haven't really decided what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I would do my tangles in it, but for some reason I've been holding back on doing that. I'm not really sure why. I think because I had just gone through another notebook of tangles, and it had taken me a long time, that I just felt that I did not want to do it with this. And I just thought what I would be using this for is just to record any thoughts I had on any inks that I've been using. Just nothing systematic. I just wanted to, if I felt like I was really enjoying a pairing of ink and pen and nib, that I would just record it in this journal, and just thoughts on how the ink is handling the pen and the nib, and do a little swatch and maybe a doodle if I felt inclined. I would just record the date, the ink, the pen, and the nib. In particular, I was using this, I think I'll be using this for inks that I have samples and I'll be running out of the ink, and I just kind of want to record it in a more formal way, and I just have some thoughts on the ink and, you know, how it performed and what I liked about it. I've only done 3, but it's, you know, it's off to a good start. I just have to remember to do it whenever I feel like it. But anyway, I just thought I would let you know about this journal too. So there you have it. These are some insights into the craziness of this pen hobby, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe below, and follow me on Instagram. I'm at Inks and Anchors. As well, at Gourmet Pens, and myself are co-hosts of a podcast, Gourmet Pens Club Podcast. I would love it if you could subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye.